Hello! I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. I hope Father Christmas brought you everything that you deserved. This time of year is a very special time for me, and it's not because of the Christmas time, but because it's a time of reflection, setting goals to move on to the next year. So of course, Christmas is fantastic. It's family time. A lot of us have time off over Christmas, especially us tradesmen, because things kind of die down. I know some of us do work emergencies, particular projects. I used to work Christmas Day quite a lot for call outs and stuff like that. I don't anymore. I make sure I've got time off. This time is the perfect time to set your goals, monitor what you've done in the past, reflect on the previous year and how you're going to make an action plan for the new year. It's the perfect time because it's a new year. Everybody likes to try and make a new start in January. You know, let's all get fit, let's all do this, let's start a new diet. So it just kind of makes sense. So you set your targets. I mean, last year I set intentions for a calm 2019, and I'm going to go through my reflections later on in this video and where my goals are moving to. What's important about setting goals is not just saying them in your head and going, oh, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Writing them down. Statistically, you're more likely to achieve what you write down, and also monitor them. Now, if you just come up with a rough plan, and it's difficult to kind of monitor it, because it's all a bit wishy-washy. However, if you write it down and in time, 3 months, 6 months, you know, 3/4 of a year, you can work through it and see where you are, set some goals, see where you are, do the targets, and it's okay to move the goalposts as well. You're more likely to achieve. Now, we can't be fully unrealistic, but you can set whatever you want to do. And we're talking about personal goals, business goals, career goals. Okay, you can do it, it's totally up to you. So I'm going to run through mine in a little bit, but I'm going to give you some little hints and tips of how we go about this. Now, there's all sorts of apps out there that you can create and to set your goals, set intentions. You can just use a calendar, for example. The thing is, it's all very well setting a goal, but you need to put a date on it. Now, what's important is setting a goal. The date can change. It doesn't matter. If you don't achieve it in a time frame that you want to, don't beat yourself up. You know, life happens. Things change, especially like what I've gone through last year, set some goals. Things happen, life gets in the way. You know, we can't help that. People might get sick, you might have a few hurdles come your way. It happens. So what we can do is just use a calendar. Now I use, for a lot of my project management I use is monday.com actually. And I've created a little table for my goals. They've got a due date and I can monitor them. So once a month I go through them all and see where I'm at with them. But you can use a variety of different ways. You can write them down, but it does require self-discipline. It really does, because who else is going to be going, you know, seeing if you're achieving them, if you've achieved what you want to. It's down to you, it's down to the individual. But this is like the perfect time. So if I show you some of my reflections for the last year and what I'm going to achieve this year. So this time last year, I was actually in Australia. So it's summer in Australia this time of year. Landed in Manly in Sydney, and my God, I fell in love with Australia. I was still traveling at the beginning of this year with my family, obviously. We just wanted to continue, but at the same time, I started putting processes into place to create my business, which is what I'm doing now. Now, I had a bit of a massive hurdle with the traveling because I wanted to continue traveling, but me and my wife, we actually broke up. So that's a massive hurdle with what I was trying to achieve, where I was going. And in a way, that's why we ended up coming back to the UK to gain a bit of stability. And plus it just felt right with work and business. So that's what happened. That's what I mean. You can set goals, but they might change. Now in 2019 was an absolute whirlwind, especially prior to that, because if you follow my story, obviously, the reason I left the UK was because we were just very unhappy as a family in the UK in general, wanted to leave and wanted to just go on an exciting adventure, wanted a change of life. Got there. Circumstances can change. Now, everything in life is temporary. Things can change. Nothing's ever permanent. You know, a massive setback because we wanted to kind of lead a life together, living in a certain place. I set my intentions and yeah, I achieved some of them. So this year's been a whirlwind. I come back to the UK and I just wanted to knuckle down being a parent, and also I set up my business. Now, my coaching, which I do one-on-one, That's what I started actually at the end of 18, sorry, and it's going really, really well. But my new business is Develop My Business, where I do workshops and I help people on a massive scale. I'm setting up more websites, so that's sort of my targets for 2020. So my business is to continue that, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'm going to do some a reveal soon of what I'm going to be doing in 2020 with that. But I've set my business goals now, also personal goals. Now, I want to increase my fitness because when I come back from the UK, I was so busy doing bits and pieces, giving myself excuses. So I'm actually going to, in September next year, I'm going to hike. I'm going to Machu Picchu and I'm fundraising for the electrical industry charity. Again, I'll do a video on that another time. So I've got to train for that. So I've got to go on some long walks, different trips. There's a kind of a recommended training pattern that you've got to continue. But again, that's one of my goals. And I got a Fitbit for Christmas so I can monitor again. So I can look at the data and look at how much I'm walking, the steps. I can monitor my sleep patterns and stuff like that. And again, I can monitor. So if I didn't have this, I'm just winging it. I'm just going, I'm doing okay now, where I might not be. Whereas this kind of is a tool to help me monitor that, just like you monitoring your goals. And I'm more likely to achieve because I know if I need to step my game up or if I can relax for a bit or whatever, if I've got the information with that. Otherwise you're just kind of plodding along. And when you plod along, it's very difficult to grasp and analyze correctly. So that's why I'm very grateful that I got this as a Christmas gift. Now also, I'm going to be doing a lot of self-development. So it doesn't all have to be about work. I do a lot of reading. I attend workshops. And I've recently got into more meditation. I want to do more yoga. But what's important is I'm going to set aside a certain amount of time a week to achieve those and actually stick with it. And just like anybody, I need to kick up the arse a lot of the time, because in this society we live in, it's very easy, especially in our trade, it's very easy to get wrapped up and you're in this cycle, okay? And it's very difficult to break that chain once you're in it, because it's an ongoing thing and it's very easy to go down. It's very easy, and I have the ability to really get into a negative cycle, and I find it very hard to get myself back out. So, but in the same sense, if I'm on a positive cycle and things are flowing, man, it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. So, it's mindset and how you direct what you want to do and to achieve. So yeah, I need to kick up the arse. So I've got people in my life who give me a massive kick up the arse when I need to. I accept I'm not perfect. I accept I do things wrong. That's the whole part of being human. It's about learning, because if you're not making mistakes and learning from them, you're not progressing. So, we all do it. So we all need a bit of kick up the arse, especially if you're a business owner. Who is there to kick you up the arse? If you work for somebody, usually you might have a manager or a boss who is there to kick you up the arse if you're not performing, and you could be fired. Whereas if you're a business owner, who's there to kick you up the arse in the right way? Yeah, we've got partners, okay, and they can be a massive positive influence on life. They can also be a very negative influence on life. But sometimes their incentive isn't quite the same as us as business owners. Of course, they want us to do well, but they don't quite grasp the position that we're in and how difficult it is, because if we just constantly are just working, okay, and working, and we're in that cycle and we can't get out, and sometimes we do need to break the chain a little bit. That's why I like doing new things, because change and new experiences creates a different way to think, your thought processes, and sometimes it can open up fantastic ideas that help you in other aspects of life. So trying new things is fantastic. So I've got my goals, okay, I've got my goals personally, I've got my goals with my business and career development as well. I want to do some courses. I'm all about educating, learning in my field, so I'm constantly doing online courses. Every penny I spend, I see as an investment. Yes, I might spend some money on a load of shit, okay? And sometimes I have to go, what the hell am I doing that for? Don't beat myself up and just reanalyze and think, like, everything I spend needs to be coming back to me. It might be that I spend money on something like going to the cinema, And it's something I like to relax by doing that, and that's what I like to do. But what I don't like to do is spend money on a load of crap that actually benefits me in no way, shape or form. That's what I try to avoid. Health isn't just exercise, it's mindfulness, it's nutrition, and it's everything you do around you. I want to try and increase those parts of my life. I mean, I generally have quite a healthy diet anyway, but of course, like anybody, it's easy to get into. I mean, even as a vegan, for example, it's very easy to get into junk food and food that's not very good for you. So I want to make sure that I'm eating very well, because that's a massive, massive part of how my mind works. And you know, I function much better physically and mentally when I'm putting goodness into my body. I believe that if you put good in, good comes out. If you put shit in, shit comes out. And I'm not talking out your arse, okay? I'm just talking in general. You eat shit, shit comes out. It's just like if you absorb negativity, like reading papers that actually aren't factual, it's just opinions, you can absorb that and you give that off. Whereas if you consume goodness, you consume positivity, you're around positive people, you start radiating that too. So I like to make sure that I'm getting as much goodness as I can. That's what I mean. This period, like between Christmas and New Year, is the best one to sit down, whether it's with your partner, with a friend, with a peer, whoever, and just talk about the good and the bad from the last year, okay? And how we can make improvements to achieve our goals. What we need to do when we set some goals, we set a goal, and it doesn't have to be for this year, it can be in 5 years' time. I've got goals, for example, like one day I want to buy a plot of land, and I want to, in the middle of the wilderness, maybe in Canada or somewhere, and I want to build my own log cabin that's as sustainable, self-sufficient as possible. You know, that's one of my goals. Another goal of mine, which might be achievable in the next couple of years, I want to go on an African safari. Now, I want to find one that does a lot of conservation with animals. I don't want it just to be a touristy thing. So it's something I need to look into, but I really, really want to go on a safari to see some wild animals in Africa. Again, that's something that I can work towards. You know, it is fairly achievable. It's going to be quite expensive. But again, I set the goal, and then you have to take the necessary steps to achieve that goal. So when you're goal setting, don't just set the goal. You need to write down the steps you need to take. It might consist of time, it might consist of financially, okay? And if you work through that, and over time you monitor through it, and that's what I use this app for, is because it allows me to add steps. Step 1, step 2, and how am I achieving those, okay? Now another tiny little goal is things I want to do with my daughter. Like, I haven't played chess in God knows how long, and we played it around with friends recently. So one of my goals is to regularly play chess with my daughter. And so, you know, it's great for the mind. It's great for me, and it's great for her. And we play drafts, and she's really good. She's 5 years old. She's actually really, really good at it. Something as small as that. Again, I will write that down, and I'll monitor it. And over time, I'll look through and see how am I getting on. When you write down your goals, you write down the steps, and you monitor as you go. You know, we're monitoring what we're doing and how we're achieving it. You're more likely to achieve them, okay? It's very easy to get wrapped up into this cycle of life that we're in, this society that we're in. But when you stand back sometimes and you look at the bigger picture, it helps focus and analyze effectively. And that's what this period is about, because we're not working and we shouldn't be working. I know a lot of us are going to be going on social media and checking the groups that we're in because we're so into it. But really, it's a time of reflection, it's a time of rest. We need to recharge your batteries, otherwise you're constantly going to be running on empty. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on now. I hope you have a fantastic 2020. Let me know in the comments below what goals you're going to be setting, whether they're small or big. I want to hear some of your goals. Anyway, have a great day, guys. See you later.